Well, the Houston Astros are headed home on a happy flight from Kansas City. And, well, the offense didn't wake up. We are going to talk about Hunter Brown, who I think is the Astros ace. And I'm going to ask Mike what he thinks about, do you think he is the pitcher of the month for the American League? Let's talk about this and more on this edition of Back to the Bullpen.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. Know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right, and we are back to the bullpen with myself and Mike Stanton. Thank y'all for tuning in to our show. You can find us on X, on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram, on iHeartRadio, and, of course, here on YouTube. And, look, we've got some things to talk about, but first, before we do, Mike, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
That's going to be on X at Mike Stanton 29, the old 29er. And I know we're a few minutes late here. We were having some audio technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And, we're you and I have only been doing this for how long, and we haven't figured this thing out. But hey, you know what? We're here. That's what's important.
That's right. We are here and we are back, and we've got several of y'all watching, and thank y'all so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. You know, like I said last show, we reached 1,000, so that's good. We're a few over that, so we're just going to keep growing here and
keep getting the word out there, folks. Just tell your husbands, tell your wives, tell your children, your neighbors, tell people you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, tell opposing fan bases about Back to the Bullpen, because we are going to talk about. Of course, I want to talk about it. I love the way the Rangers lost today, and I know that's not right of me.
Gosh.
I know that's not right of me.
It's why you have to pay attention. We'll get to in a few minutes, but
yeah,
the old saying, you never know what you're going to see. Well, that was what happened today with the Rangers.
And just when you think it's over, it's not over. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the Cubs because, Mike, I know the Dodgers are the Dodgers, but right now, and of course, nobody's deciding the World Series on April 26th. I think the Cubs are a true contender in the NL. But first, let's talk about Diesel, Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown 4-0 this month. I believe it's like a .81 WHIP.
Yeah.
He's just killing it every start this year. He's gone at least 6 innings. Now he had his scoreless inning streak ended by Bobby Witt Jr. Of course, I think he's the most appropriate guy to break a scoreless inning streak because he is a generational talent. 28 consecutive innings, 5th longest, I think, in Astros history. What is different about Hunter Brown this year than last year? Because you remember last year he got off to a slow start.
Oh my gosh, the slowest of starts.
Obviously he puts the sinker in like May last year and then he takes off. But starting this year, as a pitcher, as a former pitcher yourself, what's different? What do you see in him that maybe has changed or just gotten better?
I think it's just confidence. It's confidence is the one thing. It doesn't matter if you're in, your first appearance in Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 20 years. Confidence is something that you always struggle with. Some of the most insecure, whichever way it goes. You're the teacher. Players that I ever played with were actually Hall of Famers. And that was one of their driving forces, was the fact that they were always questioning how good they were. They were always pushing. And I think more than anything else with Hunter is just the simple fact that he is pitching with the utmost confidence. He is, and this is a saying that I think a lot of pitching coaches, a lot of pitchers will say, I don't know how many of them believe, he's trusting his stuff. And what does that mean? That means dude throws strikes. That's really what that means. That here I'm going to put the ball in the strike zone with whatever pitch I'm going to throw, and let's see what you can do with it. And when you do that early in the count, you get ahead in the count, and guess what? Now all of a sudden the hitter is on his heels, and I think that's what you're seeing from Hunter. I don't think the stuff is any different. He is one of the hardest throwers in Major League Baseball. He's top 10 as far as average fastball velocity. Well over 97 miles an hour on average. The two-seam fastball, I am not going to call it a sinker. It is not a sinker. It is a running two-seam fastball. That has helped. But more than anything else, I mean, to me, it's really difficult to say, okay, well, he put this pitch in his arsenal, and this has made all the difference. I don't think so. I think it maybe has helped his confidence, but I mean, you're talking about a guy that has great weapons, and he is, when he's ahead in the count, the hitters just simply can't sit on one thing. They can't sit on one pitch. They can't sit on one location.
Right.
It makes life that much harder on those individuals.
Yeah. And of course, this is, an early sample size compared to last year in just raw percentages. The sinker in 24, 18% of the time. This year, 22.4. So there's not like a massive jump now.
Yeah.
His slider, he's using it now. His cutter. Okay, so this year he's only using it 5.4%. Last year he used it 16.5%, Mike.
Yeah.
So the thing I love about Hunter Brown is, from talking to him when he was with what was called the Sugarland Skeeters at the time. I still love that. I have footage of him and Jeremy Pena and Jake Myers, and they're all wearing their Skeeters gear. And I remember when Alex Bregman went on a rehab assignment. Mm-hmm. I've got a great picture of him at third base, wearing the Skeeters gear. But
yeah,
his confidence, when he was at the ballpark, some guys, and I hate to say this because I hate to be dismissive of any guys that are in the minor leagues saying that they'll never make it, but some guys carry themselves like they're already there. Sure. And some guys just like, hey man, they're there, they're at the ballpark, they're having fun. And a lot of the guys obviously don't make it because it's a small percentage that make it, right?
Of course.
But he just always came across to me as like, yeah, I like had no doubt whenever he would whenever I talked to him, ask him questions, it was always like he was already there.
Yeah.
And that I think is huge. Especially when you look up to somebody like a Justin Verlander. You go to somewhere like Wright State. You don't go to a D1 school. You're not a highly touted guy. You're drafted in a quote unquote later round. There's not as many rounds anymore. And he basically just works hard. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to start off with, he's tremendously talented, but I understand what you're saying. For the most part, when you talk about a Major League Baseball player, most of them are type A personalities, but they're not all type A personalities.
Right.
You would think that a lot of these guys, most of these guys were, the best player on their high school team, the best player on their college team. Well, that is the case that's probably the case most of the time, but that doesn't mean they have the it factor. And the it factor is that confidence, that internal confidence that you have in yourself. And you're right. There are guys that just, they walk in the room and they don't even have to open their mouth. Just the way they carry themselves, you can see that they are different. And Hunter seems to be that guy. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't ever question, his stuff. That doesn't mean he doesn't ever question what exactly is going on here. Can I really do this? Because that's all just being human. But, when he grits on the mound and he grabs the four-seamer and he lets it eat and the radar guns lighten up and big league hitters are not reacting to it, that just simply, now he can trust that stuff. Now he knows that the stuff is good enough. And what a difference 1 year has made, though. Because at this time last year, there was talk, they need to send him down. They're going to ruin him. They're going to do all these things. until mid-May, and then he kind of, well, we'll just say turned it around.
Right. And we've seen Fromber go through his struggles. You know, he didn't get the win this weekend, but he only gave up 2 runs.
He did his job. He did his job.
He did his job. And but we have seen Fromber melt down. We have seen Fromber admittedly go quote unquote off script.
Yeah.
And I
think it's been a hot and cold season already for Fromber.
It has been up and down. And that what I like, because when I look at Fromber, I think, and you know, I don't think I've ever asked your opinion on this. I feel like and I don't want to say he's plateaued, but I don't know that we're going to get more out of Fromber than what we've gotten from him versus Hunter Brown. I think there's so much more in the well that we can tap out of there. Is that a fairly accurate statement? I'm not trying to sell Fromber short saying he's in decline, but I think he may have peaked or plateaued.
And listen, Fromber has been very good. I mean, you can't take anything away from him.
100%.
When Fromber is on top of his game, he's as good as anybody, including Hunter. You know, when he's got the curveball going, he can absolutely strike guys out. But what is his bread and butter? His bread and butter is ground balls. And actually Hunter does the same thing. They're just different pitchers. They're not, they don't have the same arsenal. They don't have the same approach. And Hunter probably has more weapons. The thing is, I don't know. I still look at both of those guys. And if I had to rate their stuff, not just their velocity, their stuff, Fromber still probably has better stuff. I mean, he's got the heavy sinking fastball that when that thing is going right, you almost can't get the ball in the air. And then he probably has the best curveball, maybe in Major League Baseball. I mean, it is that good. You know, I think where he gets in trouble sometimes is he tries to get cute. He wants to throw the cutter. The changeup is a good pitch, but he should use it sparingly. The sinking fastball, the sinker curveball combination is so unique. There's not very many guys that do that. In Major League Baseball, period. Usually the sinker ballers throw sliders, but that combination is as good as any 2-pitch combination there is in Major League Baseball. And I agree with you. I think that we've seen the best that Fromber has. And listen, that is very, very good.
Oh yeah. Oh no. And I'm definitely not.
But but the other side of this is, you know, where Hunter has just been dealing this whole season. Again, we keep using the small sample size. It's been 5 or 6 starts.
Right.
You know, so that's still not a big number. And for Fromber, you've seen him, you know, good start, bad start, kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
Even though he did throw the ball well his last time out, just what was that yesterday? And he got the loss, but okay, he still did his job. The offense didn't. It's a great combination, the two, just simply because they are so drastically different, not just lefty righty, but just how they attack their hitters. I mean, it is a great 1-2 combination, but I would have to say right now, Hunter is the top of the rotation. He is the Astros ace. He's not a league ace. We talked about that in a previous podcast. We can do that again if you would like. I am not everybody doesn't have an ace. Everybody has a number one. But he is as good as anybody. And you asked in the open, you know, could he be the pitcher of the month? He probably should be. I mean, he went 28 scoreless innings. The dude hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs. I mean, heck, he gave up 2 in his first inning, and then he just gave up 1 today. That's it. That's it.
It's insane.
He's been as good as anybody in the league. Absolutely.
So the other candidates would be Walker Buehler, who's like 4-0, Mallet, and in Arlington, who is, I believe, he might be 4-0 or 3-1. And there's 1 or 2 other pitchers that I looked at earlier. So, you know, there's 4 or 5.
He's in the hunt. I mean, you don't know exactly what the criteria is, because it does seem to be a fluid situation. But he's got to be. I mean, listen, like I said, 3 earned runs and right at about 30 innings. I mean, that's just about as good as you can possibly be. So, and I think where he gets a lot of fanfare, where he gets a lot of PR, is the 28 scoreless innings.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, listen, are there other pitchers that have thrown the ball put up very good numbers? Of course there are. But, when you have a long scoreless innings streak like he had that he lost today, that just makes people talk about you. And a lot of times that's the determining factor whether you win pitcher of the month or not.
Exactly. No, but I think winning early pitcher of the month, and this isn't something that pitchers probably worry about or opine over like fans do. Fans are always talking about the race, the way too early MVP, candidate.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Everyone's favorite game. If the season ended today.
Oh, that's so ridiculous. And the season ended today. Can you?
And you know what? You watch the MLB Network, or you watch any, ESPN, any of them. They're all going to do it at some point. If the season ended today,
we should. Yeah. You know what we should do? We should mark the calendar each season and go if the season do 5 games in. If the season ended today, the Oakland Athletics or the Sacramento A's would be. I mean, but there's just some amazing pitching. I was watching Romano today, closing it out for the Phillies against the Cubs. We'll talk about them later. He's just got nasty stuff. And then,
you remember him a couple of years ago with Toronto. I mean, he was just unhittable. Actually, I think he had come in almost perfect, and the Astros actually stole his lunch money.
They did. They did. Now,
when he's right, he's as good as anyone.
Did you see what Paul Skeens did to the Dodgers this weekend?
I did.
And then he threw some nasty back foot slider to Ohtani. I mean, it was just Mike, the stuff that these pitchers are doing today. It's unreal the way they're making, just the way the ball comes out of the hand. But to wrap up the Hunter Brown thing, it's good that he was on the mound because I believe they were 0-8 their last 8 games in KC until today. So they broke a streak. So they broke their winless streak. Hunter Brown ended his scoreless streak. I mean, you had all kinds of streaks ending.
Well, I will say this about Kansas City is what you saw, that this is a good team. I mean, these aren't just a whole bunch of young guys. I mean, they can pitch. Look at the first 2 games. Is some of that the inconsistencies we've seen in Astros offense? Yes, that is part of it. But it also showed. I mean, Seth Lugo was just incredible in game.
He was.
And when you can pitch, you got a chance. I mean, that's what we've been saying about the Astros. I mean, the offense has been, I think, inconsistent is the nicest thing we can say about the offense, even though they did score 7 runs today. But the pitching has been outstanding, and it's been led by Hunter Brown.
No, it has been. And so they get to the ballpark today, and what do you know? The big fella, Jordan, goes deep, hits a 3-run home run. He's been scuffling at the plate. Jose Altuve was on a rest day, and you had Jeremy Pena go up. He was the leadoff hitter today. And also Chas McCormick came in, and I don't know if you noticed, Mike, he has a mustache now. And some people are calling it the power stash. He went 3 for 4 today. He scored 3 runs. He was 3 for 4. And, look, Chaz has almost been like a forgotten friend on the team. Yeah. He has not gotten opportunity.
Actually, I think there was some scuttlebutt about whether he should even be on the roster, whether they should have sent him down or something like that.
Exactly.
And listen, the crazy thing is we're not that far removed. It was just 2 years ago when Chaz was one of the better offense. Now, he wasn't a full-time player, but he was putting up numbers with any outfielder in Major League Baseball. I mean, he was legit, or at least the American League. He was legit. Last year was a big-time struggle. He didn't have a good spring training. But, listen, he's got a very unique swing. And when he gets pitches he can handle, if he can make contact with the ball, he goes to the right field as good as anybody pretty much anybody in the American League.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you love to see it. And I want to ask you this before we get to any kind of like injury updates, a little Forrest Whitley update and things like that. With the Astros, let's just say, Chaz heats up, Cam Smith, gets going a little bit more. Yeah. Jake Myers is doing his thing. Jordan's doing this. You got outfield options. Mm-hmm. Does this mean we've got to get more guys in the outfield and have Altuve back at second a little bit more? Because are you putting the team not in a deficit, but is it not helping the team to have Altuve in left field, taking that spot from someone who, if Chaz gets hot, you want his bat in the lineup?
Yeah.
It's just like that to me. It seems like, okay, so do we have Altuve at second when we got the fly ball pitchers versus the ground ball pitchers, but we have 3 of the 5 are ground ball pitchers? So what do you do? I mean,
it's a fluid situation, and that's the crazy thing. If you look at the Astros the game notes, one of the categories is how many different lineups, and you almost have a different lineup every single day. I mean, by the end, there are no lineups in Major League Baseball that you're going to have, even 100 games, even 81, which is half games, with exactly the same lineup. That's just not how it works with guys having off days and injuries and moving it around. And we know that the Astros lineup has always been, a little bit of a mishmash of players. And you go all the way back, to the mid-teens, and AJ Hinch, he was notorious for having different lineups. And it's just the way lineups are put together now. So I think it's pretty simple. We'll go by Little League rules. Little League rules are, if you're hot, you're in the lineup. If you hit, you play. And I think that's what you do. And then, it's one of the reasons why you have so much diversity, and you have, in your lineup with guys being able to move around is so you can do just that. That, if you got 8 players that each one can only play one position, well, then when somebody struggles, you have no choice. You have to leave that player in that position. Well, that's not the way Major League rosters are put together now. Now it's really about mixing and matching so that, you can cover for someone struggling, or you can get somebody in there when someone is hot.
And I used to say to my Little League teams, I would be like, well, everybody's not a catcher. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we typically, if you were lucky, you had 2 catchers. You had one good catcher you depended on. But that catcher, in a lot of instances, as you get older, that's all they play. They don't play anything else. And, for the most part. And so when you are a first baseman, now first basemen are probably more pigeonholed, but you need versatility. Mauricio Dubon. I mean, you got these guys, you've got guys that can move around, but I'm just wondering, just going down the road. Now, we do have some injury updates on the Houston Astros. We have Sean Dubin. He actually threw an inning in Double-A Corpus, so he's getting back. Lance McCullers had 5 scoreless innings in a rehab start versus Frisco a couple days ago. I believe he's going to get one more rehab start before he's brought up. Forrest Whitley went back on the IL, which is retroactive April 24th for a sore knee. It's the same knee that he had a bone bruise on. And I'm wondering if they rushed him back or if it's just something that's continued to aggravate him. But a 10-day IL stint for him. I mean, this guy cannot catch a break. I mean, he came in, he threw 2 innings, got a couple strikeouts, looked good, and then boom, but he's back on it. And just, I mean, how frustrating is that you played a very healthy career, but you were probably around guys that were injured. What is that like? What are those guys like around the clubhouse? Or that's
you just feel bad because you know that they want to be on the field. You know that they want to help, and you know that when they are healthy, they have potentially can be a difference maker on the team. So it's, and unfortunately for Forrest, it's one of those situations that he has never had a chance to establish himself as a Major League Baseball player. He's always had the stuff. Heck, he was drafted out of high school with the stuff,
Right.
but there's been injury after injury. And there has been some times that he hasn't thrown the ball very well, but a lot of those were due to injury also. Hopefully he can get his knee right. And you see it a lot of times, guys in their early 20s, in their mid 20s, they spend a lot of time on the IL, but as they get into their late 20s or even 30, they kind of figure things out. They're able to the time that they need in the, strength and conditioning, the time they need, getting help from the medical staff. I mean, you just kind of figure things out and you're able to stay on the field.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's going to be Forrest, because at this point in his career, I said going into this season, I would love to see Forrest Whitley in a Houston Astros uniform and helping the team, whether it was in the rotation or whether it was in the bullpen, whatever. But just see who this guy is, because we've just never been able to get there. But I'd always said that I can't, if I'm the general manager, I can't really count on him until he actually does it. I can't really put some weight, say, okay, we really need Forrest to be the seventh inning guy. Well, we can't say that because he's never done it before. So you got to do the Missouri State thing. You got to show me before I can believe it.
The show me state.
Mm-hmm.
I remember someone told me, what Texas theme is? I'm like, what? It's a show me state. I'm like, no, it's not the show me state. That's Missouri. So talking about just wild things that happen in baseball. Have you ever seen a team lose a game the way the Rangers lost today, where the pitcher tries to make a play, he throws the ball wide of first, then the guy's going into third, the ball's missed at third base, and it looked like the Bad News Bears out there.
It did.
And dude, Julito just slides in head first. It just and I put the picture of him sliding
for the game winner
to home plate. It was great. I mean, just
so it was. I mean, you can understand the play. The pitcher made the mistake of trying to make a spectacular play instead of just putting the ball in. It was a swinging bunt that was basically hit kind of right at the shortstop, maybe a little bit more towards third base. The pitcher came up and didn't set his feet, kind of just tried to a jump spinning throw and threw the ball down the right field line. The base runner, who was the base runner?
Julito Ramos.
Yeah. So Ramos kind of just jogs into second base. Third base coach Mitch Williams is going nuts at third base trying to get him, because there shouldn't even have been a play at third base, but he was Cadillacing it into second base. The thing that Ramos didn't remember was where they were playing. Now, yes, they were playing at home, but I don't know, what do they call it? It used to be AT&T Park. In San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called now. Let's look it up.
It's got huge foul territory. So once it gets by the first baseman, my first thought was, little league rules here, little league, learning moment. Where is the right fielder? Why isn't he not backing up? Well, you throw it down the right field line and there's no one down there. Crickets. The only person down there is one of the ball. Oracle Park. There you go.
There you go.
And so he gets into third base, another ill-timed throw it away at third, and then so have I seen that before? I have. Not very often, and not usually in Major League Baseball, but I don't think that was a first. But yeah, it was definitely. The broadcast team actually for San Francisco said something pretty funny. They said a snowball fight broke out. Everyone's just throwing snowballs everywhere.
I mean, that it was an insane, ending.
Yeah.
To a game. But that's why you play
for a walk-off win.
For a walk-off win, Little League inside the park home run. You gotta love it. I remember there was a kid there was a coach that my son had. And when his son was really young, he would pay him to get hits because he didn't want to be out there. So like, look, if you get a single And he was high dollar. He's like, I'll give you $2 for every single. I was like, what'd you give him for a double? He's like, well, I gave him $5. I was like, what'd you give him for a triple? He said, I gave him 10.
Wow.
I'm like, well, this was pitch machine.
Okay.
And I said, he goes, but I made the mistake. I told him if he gets a home run, I give him $100. Well, I knew he wasn't going to hit the ball over the fence, but he got a little league inside the park home run.
Forgot what
and his wife made him she held his feet to the fire. Said, you told him, you didn't tell him. And so when we got to Sammy's, when he was coaching my son's team, he was like, him and his son were getting into it, and he was like, I'm not paying you anymore to play. And we were like, what? And so we got the backstory. And when he got old enough to resist, he was just like, well, if you're not gonna pay me, I'm not playing.
There you go.
So
the precedents had been set.
Yeah, it had, and the expectation was there. And he would literally watch balls go under his legs at second base.
Yeah.
And just like, I'm not getting paid.
Well, I mean, that would be one of the stipulations. Is it a real inside the park home run, or is it a little league home run, which is, like I said, the snowball fight, and you got arrows all over the place. I mean, I talk to kids all the time and go, yeah, I hit a double. It was a single and the outfielder misplayed it. Sorry, bro, that's not a double. Great single, but that's not a double.
Yeah, and with the whole Game Changer app, okay, parents, let's be honest. How many of y'all extend your kids' hits? Or if I had a buddy, his son was called out, he was clearly safe, and in the Game Changer, he put single.
So back in the day when I was playing a lot of golf, the best club in my bag was the pencil.
There you go. There you go. How many do you have? 4?
Oh, you're not talking about just the putts?
Oh, yeah, 4. Yeah, I have 4 putted. Yes, 8. Do we cap it at 8? That's what I always ask.
That's right.
What is the final number? All right, so we got wild things going on, out west. And since we're talking about San Francisco and the West, I want to kind of hit on that division. I think is going to be up and down. You got the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres all playing leapfrog with each other. I mean, a game and a half separates them.
Well, they've also all cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, they all have come down to earth a little bit.
Right. That's right.
Hey, the Mets right now have the best record in baseball at 19-9.
There you go.
So, but really, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. You got the Mariners atop our division in the AL West. The Astros are only a game and a half out. The Rangers are a game out. You've got the Tigers top of the Central. The Yankees are still doing their thing. But it looks like, the Tigers are playing very good baseball. They've got good young pitching core. They got AJ Hinch as their manager. They've got some really solid McKinstry, that Carpenter. They got a bunch of guys out there that can hit in Detroit. I think that the Central, and you and I have talked about this, is usually kind of a hodgepodge.
Sure.
But I still think the Royals find their stride and make a bid and get up into first place. But if you got the Royals, the Guardians, and the Tigers fighting in the Central, that's going to make the playoffs interesting.
Sure.
When we get there.
Yeah, I think the Guardians are the team that you've got that might be on the outside looking in, because the Tigers are a good young team, and we just saw the Kansas City Royals take 2 or 3 from the Astros. So these are legitimate teams. I mean, they may not be the powerhouses that the Dodgers, teams like the Dodgers are, but they are still very good teams, and we'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, when you have Struble, who pitched today for the Tigers. I mean, my gosh, the dude is as filthy as anyone in baseball. When you can pitch, you can win. And we saw that Kansas City can pitch, and the Tigers are playing good baseball also.
Yeah, that's right. They are actually, we're actually facing the Tigers tomorrow. Flaherty versus Blanco tomorrow. Blanco's been good. He was excellent in that one start. What is your take on him with where he is, Mike. I mean,
Well, I think we got spoiled with him last year. You know what he had through the
100%.
first half.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just outstanding, and you kind of were hoping, okay, is this the real Ronel Blanco? Did this dude finally figure it out? Well, yes, but he also had a career year. You know,
He did.
he put numbers up that he had never come anywhere close to before, and so when somebody has a career year, what are you looking for them from the next year? I don't think it's realistic to think, okay, he's just going to back up last year, which we had never seen him throw the ball like that before. He's going to back up, second year with it. I think that the number would be 80%. You know, if he can give you 80% of what he did last year, I think that's still a very successful, very good season. But he's a back of the rotation starter. That's where he needs to be.
Right.
Even when he's throwing the ball really, really well, you don't want him being at the top of the rotation. You want to have guys like Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez at the top of your rotation. Because if you can put him in the 4 hole in your rotation, you got a pretty good rotation. You got things are going pretty well. And 5 hole would be even better. The 5 spot in the rotation. So, I think that he's still a good pitcher. I don't think he's a great pitcher, and I think he's just a guy that is serviceable, and that he's going to take the ball every 5 or 6 days, however many days in between starts, and he should keep you in pretty much every ball game.
Well, I think the good thing is for the Astros, they don't face Scooble, so that's good.
Yep, he pitched today, I think.
Yeah, they do face Jackson Jobe in the 3rd game. Jack Flaherty's back in Detroit after his short stint, I believe in LA. And so, look, I think the Astros come back home. You always love having that happy flight home. You like winning, getting on the plane, and then you also get to come back home. It's just the consistency of the offense and the bats. And one of the things that you and I kind of discussed beforehand, someone I know, a guy named Larry, he goes by Larry the GM. He had basically went in and he looked at all the opponents the Astros have faced, and the overall record is 134 and 119. And they faced 5 of the top 10 ERA teams, and they are actually considered, 4th best. So they really have only faced 2 of the worst 10 pitching teams in the league. And that's where I think maybe the offense has really kind of come up against a little bit of a buzzsaw. We are historically slow. And of course, I think it makes it a little more painful too when you look up and you see Kyle Tucker crushing baseballs in Wrigley, and you see, Alex Bregman having a 5-hit game, and all these things going on, with other players that used to be here, or freaking George Springer having a career start to his season. And then I still have people trying to talk to me about, we need to fire Alex Centrone. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, he doesn't hit the ball. And I'm like, are you going to blame Alex Centrone? I was like, does he get the credit for the 2 home runs today and the 7 runs?
No.
Does he get credit for Altuve's hot start? No. He only gets credit for when the hitters are horrible.
Listen, hitting coaches are the low man on the totem pole. They only, I've said this before, that they're only as good as the relationship they have with the player. If the player doesn't trust you, he's not going to listen to you. And
True.
Again, these are all type A personalities. And so they all think they know what is best. And a lot of times you have to hit rock bottom, or even go lower than that, before you actually, start taking advice from somebody. So, that's why you see, the hitting coaches, pitching coaches talking to the players so much, because they're building a rapport. They're building a relationship with the player, because that's the only way this is going to work. I think one of the issues that the Astros offense has this year is that you came into the regular season with question marks. If you come in with a great offensive team and they struggle, It's okay. These guys have all done it before. We've got 5 all-stars in there, whatever. But I don't think you did that with the Astros. I think you had the top of the lineup that you felt pretty good. But once you get below Christian Walker, I think you go, okay, well, there are some question marks down there. Guys like Jake Myers that, has had times that he's been good, and there's times he hasn't been. Same with Chaz. So even Jeremy Pena has put up pretty good numbers, but there hasn't been a whole lot of power in some of the years that Jeremy has been in the big league. So I think there was question marks about the offense going into it. And so now the struggles just make you that much more weary of the numbers that they're putting up.
Exactly. And you look, I think that if this offense sees someone like Yordan, I think if Yordan starts hitting better, I think Christian Walker gets better
Could be
chances to hit.
Well, you have to remember Christian changes leagues.
Oh, you know what? And that's something, right? And that's something that someone brought up to me in a conversation the other day, and I was like, these are things I don't know. I feel like sometimes the most obvious things we just kind of, glaze over. Yeah. We don't think about it. That is a big difference when you've been in the National League for that many years and all of a sudden you're in the American League. It's a whole different ballgame. The pitchers are different. The strategies are different. The stadiums are different.
Hitting backgrounds. Yep.
Hitting backgrounds, everything. And so that does take some adjustments. So let's wrap this up with this. And I know in our much too early prediction theme of the show today, are the Cubs World Series contenders in 2025?
Oh, goodness. I think we are a little early to talk about that, but I do think that, listen, the Cubs have been a very disappointing team since they won the World Series because they have not been able to back it up. And then the last few years, it's almost like they haven't really tried. They've tried to be relevant. They've tried to be okay, be in the race, but you're talking about one of the biggest markets in all of sports. I mean, the north side of Chicago, the fan base for the Chicago Cubs is worldwide. It's not even all the way across the nation because of WGN for all those years. And I think the Cubs fans, they've been very frustrated with the way this organization has been run over the last few years.
Right.
Until this year. This year they made some real moves and they are playing extremely good baseball. So do they have a chance? I think that they are probably the pick to win that division. That's as far as I'm going to take it. But once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. I mean, we've seen that time and time again in the past that, even teams that have limped into the playoffs, once you get into the big dance, the second season starts over again. And if you get hot, you can run the gauntlet and win a World Series. So it's good to see the Cubs actually put forth their best foot in the offseason. It's unfortunate it was at the cost of the Houston Astros, but it was a move that had to be made. I think they are a contender, absolutely. World Series, we'll have to wait and see. Division, to tell you the truth, I think they may be the team to beat.
They've scored 172 runs.
Here's the crazy thing.
That is insane.
That's a big number. They have a pretty good run differential. It's positive. It's not, so the run differential is runs you've given up to runs you've scored.
It's plus 39 now.
Which is good. Their pitching hasn't been great.
It hasn't been great.
Their offense has been very good. Here's the crazy thing. And I know we have to talk about sample size. They have played 29 games, teams over 500. That is a huge number. I think it's the biggest in baseball by like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, it is.
Compared to the Astros, the Astros have played 12. 12
and
games.
The Cubs,
and they're 17 and 12 in those games. Now, the reason we got to talk about sample size is just simply because some of those teams have gotten off to a hot start, but they're not contending teams. outings.
Right.
So you get off to a good start because listen, the Dodgers lose game 1 of the regular season. They're under 500 officially. Now they didn't do that because you started in Japan. So you have to take it all with a grain of salt. 29 is a big number though.
It is, and see, that's where I think too, in the end, a team that has a lot, I say a little bit higher ceiling because offenses don't really compare. The Astros have only given up they've only scored 99 runs, but they've only given up 88 runs.
Yeah.
The Mets have only given up 82. The Tigers have given up 87. And the Padres 83. Everybody else is in the hundreds. Everybody else, Mike, is in the hundreds by a lot.
Yeah.
Like all the other teams, even the Yankees. So while these teams, I guess, are out slugging each other right now is what it seems like. If the Astros offense can just get in the right direction for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a row, they could build quite a lead because someone even mentioned the Reds. The Reds are on the heels of the Cubs. They're only a game and a half out. So
right. And the Reds have a good offense.
Mm-hmm.
They got some really dynamic players like De La Cruz. I put the Great American Launching Pad, actually it's the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, number 2 under Colorado, Coors Field, in hardest stadiums to pitch in.
Really? Yeah. Why is it so hard to keep the ballpark in Cincinnati?
The ball just flies. It's a small ballpark.
Okay.
The overall dimensions of the ballpark are small, but for some reason the ball flies like crazy also, especially during day games. It's a very difficult ballpark to be consistent pitching wise. So, and I think that's why the Rockies, are never going to be a perennial contender because it's just too hard to get outs consistently.
It's just way different. Anything you do in Colorado is different. I'm still amazed that they used to train the U.S. volleyball, men's and women's volleyball team in Colorado Springs. And the first time I ever saw them play, I saw the U.S. men's play Russia's national team, and it was like a tune-up for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. They came to Houston, and I was sitting next to Riley Salmon's parents, who's from our side of town. He was a gold medalist with them and everything. And they kept hitting the ball into the net. They kept serving the ball out. And I looked at Riley's parents and I'm like, why are their serves off like that? And she goes, they haven't calibrated their serves. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, they play in elevation. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's a problem with Colorado is that it's not just playing in Colorado. It's that you play 81 games there. Then you play 81 games away from Colorado. So you have to do that recalibration, every homestand and every road trip.
That's insane. Yeah. That is, that's it's called the Rockies effect for a reason. So, well, hey, Mike, this has been a great show. Thanks for all your insight. I love every time. I feel like a sponge every time we talk and just getting your expertise. I was actually talking to some people about the show and I said, look, if you haven't listened, you just need to stop by. And I was like, maybe Mike will tell one of his stories, or I was like, but just his knowledge and understanding of the game is great. So that's impeccable for sure. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate y'all showing up live, interacting with us. And we'll definitely be back this week. Maybe after this, maybe after the Detroit series, maybe the 3 versus Detroit will come on and break that series down and see what else is going on. See who else Brett wants to put in the World Series too early. And Mike say, no, Brett, chill on that.
Yeah, sometimes we have to calm him down, but that's okay. We love his passion, and we'll see you guys here in a few days.
Awesome. Well, hey, Mike, thank y'all. And, from all of us here from Ram Shirt, State of the Art Barbershop, we do appreciate you supporting our partners here. There's a QR code, and then go to 1616 South Friendswood Drive to see Ever Cruz. He got me lined up today, actually yesterday, Ever was busy, and I got one of his other guys to do my hair. Man, they
tight.
did it right. Yes, high and tight.
Tight.
Look, oh, and hey, I'm growing the hair out in the back.
There it is.
I'm possibly going for a midlife crisis mullet. I think I'm going to go for the mullet.
Summer mullet.
I think I'm going for the mullet for the first time in my life. I'm about to be 50. Why the hell not? So, well, hey, Mike, thanks, man. This has been great. I appreciate your time. Y'all have a good one, and we're out.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.